A question that's been on my mind recently is, what is the greatest anime game of all time? Now, we have some very obvious contenders, and we have some others that I think are slight sleepers, but not really, because they're also overrated within their own community. But I think we need to talk about this because I barely see anyone talk about it anymore. And with the influx of shit anime games coming out, we don't have anything else to talk about unless you want me to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, that fucking Clash game. Which is no. Now, when making a criteria for the greatest, the number one thing has to be enjoyability. How much did people enjoy it? Did people play it for a long time? Did people actually want to see this game and actually get up and play this game? And for the few I have as contenders, I would say yes, they had very long shelf lives. Of course, there's one, Naruto Ninja Storm. Then there's Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And as the third, that's actually a pretty tough thought. And of course, leave your list in the comments, but my third may be a little bit biased because I'm an obvious JoJo fan, but it is heritage to the future. Now, of those three I'm going to talk about in this video, you can decide what the greatest anime game is, or you can just pick your own, which is fine. I don't have the best knowledge of anime games. This is an opinion-based video. Naruto Ninja Storm 4 is one of the greatest anime games in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions, and I feel like that holds up. For the past 10 years since it's been released, it has had a very long shelf life, similar to Xenoverse, except I hear a lot of people complain about Xenoverse, or at least I used to. Now it's just no one really says anything about Xenoverse, except when they release something, then everyone's hyped again. You can honestly put Xenoverse in the conversation for one of the greatest anime games of all times, Xenoverse 2, simply because the shelf life is crazy, the DLCs is crazy, and if you were to hop on, I think you would have a pretty decent amount of fun. Online is a bitch though. But anyway, Storm 4 was one of the greatest anime games of all time in my opinion because of the way the game played. It was a perfect addition to the Storm franchise off of Storm 3, which if you haven't played, you should play, and all the way back to Storm 1, which again, if you have not played the entire Storm franchise, you should. On PS Plus, they usually sell it for like $20 or $5 or sometimes free. It was just one time I got the whole franchise for free. The switch out system, the sub out system, some of the overpowered characters, just the gameplay in general, the setting usually, although I will admit by the Storm 4, the setting wasn't changing much from Storm 3. They had basically the same places. Maybe like 2 or 3 more places added. Storm 4 stood the test of time through having great gameplay for the time being and being a really good arena fighter, which is something we don't really see often because most games currently usually be Storm 4 reskins. Or just a worse version of Storm 4. And on top of that, nothing could personally match just playing with your friends, fucking them up with a nice Rock Lee combo, getting the most disgusting team in history, and them saying you're cheating. I never even watched Naruto. You be like, oh well, even though you have Minato, Shinsui, and Rock Lee on your team, you fucking bastard. And I can't pass with Storm 4 without mentioning the story mode. The story mode in Storm 4 was very elite. I love the story mode for everything that it gave, all the options it gave. Well, not really options, all the fights it gave that I did love playing through. I feel like Storm 4 was really good. When I was playing it for a long time, I only played it for about a few years, maybe 2, 3, but then, you know, I just randomly lost interest. But I feel like that's a pretty good shelf life for an arena fighter, and this list is purely subjective. Up next we have Tenkai Budokai 3. Now, Tenkai Budokai 3 is a game that actually came out, I think, around the time I was born, back in the 2000s. Now, to me, this is probably my favorite anime game of all time. Tenkaichi Budokai 3 is probably my favorite anime game of all time, even though it came out a year after I was born. I did have a year on it. Now, you may ask me, how did you play it then? Fucking mods and computers. I used to be on them bitches, busting out all the moves, Sonic Slay, Sonic Sway, fucking Key Burst, everything. The story mode and the What If saga was fucking awesome. Everything about the game to me was fucking awesome. I loved it, and the mods was what kept it alive continuously years and years and years until we got Sparking Zero, which right now all you can see in the fan community is just everyone arguing about if it's good or not still. But I really did enjoy Budokai Tenkaichi 3, even though to this day, people still argue if the models that we get on new anime games that aren't based off Storm 4 are just based off Budokai, the Budokai series, and I have to say partially yes, because those are two of the most successful anime games ever, and for good reason. Both of them have incredible shelf lives that you would want your game period have. You would want your game to have a modding community that loves it so much that you can go online and on YouTube and see fucking all these fake fusions. I used to look up fucking Tien and Yamcha fuse Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and I would see it. Now to end it off, let me talk about Heritage to the Future, which is another one of my favorite anime games. All three of them are, but this one is a little bit special because I didn't get into it until a little bit recently, so I have more of a grasp on a recent concept of the game. Now, Heritage to the Future came out in 1998, made by Capcom, and I don't think it even got to PSN till 2012, but I didn't even start watching JoJo's till 2021, so I was very late to the party, but I did get to enjoy it a little bit. I feel like the actual story modes, modes were actually fun. You had unlockable characters you can get by just free playing. One of my favorite things about Heritage to the Future is the clash feature. I love the fact that you can clash and the fact that you can even have rapid fire clashes where you're punching back and forth at each other. That is one of the best features, and I'm pretty sure it's added in All-Star Battle R and All-Star Battle, which is awesome. It also allowed you, I think for the first time, to have two different modes, which was stand mode and regular mode. When you're fighting, stand mode is more offensive / defensive depending on the stand, and vice versa with the opposite. You know, that was also a nice touch. I felt like most of the things that we got were nice touches. One of the things that I've heard about that we were supposed to get but we never ended up getting was a part 4 Jotaro skin, and I think it was Josuke Higaskita because his Dora lines were in like the game code, and it was like as you played you could notice the strong differences in mechanics between the stands. If you're using Vanilla Ice, you can't use them the same way you use Young Joseph or Shadow Dio or just Jotaro. You just can't, because you're going to get fucked, honestly. And that also helped implement like other games to use that same style of unbalancedness, but it's kind of also fair because the attacks do around the same damage. I've heard that Capcom used, for that they use like the same with Guilty Gear, the Guilty Gear series, with character dependent gameplay. Now I can't remember if Capcom made it or not. I will have to look that up, but I have seen it. I've seen articles about that at least. But all in all, I felt like Heritage to the Future was a fantastic JoJo game, and on top of that, just a fantastic anime game in general, and it has mods. All three of these games have crazy shelf lives without mods, but with mods it just added more. I still see people in Naruto Ninja Storm 4, not Storm Connections, whatever the fuck that was, but Naruto Ninja Storm 4, just making mods of characters they want to use or whatever the case is. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 5K, so anything helps, and until next time, peace.